What's up, former party people? This is Jerry, the one who actually combs his hair on the A is for Alcoholic podcast. Now, if you're finding value in listening to the AIFA podcast every week and you want to support sharing it with others, we invite you to become a sustaining monthly or per show contributor. Go to patreon.com/AIFA. It's super easy and it only takes a quick moment. It's about as easy as buying one of those pre-cooked space chickens from the grocery store, taking it outside, giving it a big old kiss, and kicking it into traffic. Why would you do that? Anyway, you do you, and I'll do me. Again, go to patreon.com/AIFA. And with that, people, let's start the show.
A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John, and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry, and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism, one letter at a time. Welcome back to A is for Alcoholic. My name is John Staley.
Yeah, I'm Jerry Wagner Jr.
Yes.
Esquire.
And together we are A is for Alcoholic.
Alcoholic. Yep. Two drunks on FaceTime.
the Voltron of podcasts.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sober Voltron of podcasts.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Real quick, I want to talk about sponsors. Lots of a couple other podcasts. Rashida and John, we just put out a new episode. My girlfriend and I talk about health and wellness, relationships and eating and dieting and exercising and all that fun stuff that hopefully goes along with getting sober. I mean, It doesn't for everybody, and it doesn't come right away. It took me 3 years to get my shit together of being sober, but it's a cool podcast. The other one is Gluten is Not Your Problem, which is a comedy podcast revolving around the restaurant business, food industry, service industry, that kind of stuff with our friend Walter. And we can say what we want about Walter since he doesn't listen to this podcast. But this
nice
last
overalls.
One,
that's what it was.
Yes, he had some overalls on. He was sick. He wasn't feeling well, so he just put on his overalls to go to the store. But the latest episode of Gluten is Not Your Problem is Adrian's origin story. Do you remember Adrian? No,
I'm nodding no, but yeah.
Walter was asked if he wanted to become a male dancer / escort in his younger years. You remember this now?
Yes, yeah.
So he talks about his time doing that, or not doing that, or how it came about and what happened, and he tells the whole story about how he was at a bachelorette party and then got hooked up with somebody who wanted him to do more of these bachelorette parties. So.
I gotta listen to this one now because he's never been forthcoming with those stories. I just remember being out with him drinking and him being like, I'm doing this thing. And I'm like, bullshit, no, you're not. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm doing this thing. And then I'd press him for details and he would just change his subject or get weird about it. And so.
Well, he definitely went into the details. There were some details about some wet red yarn that was used to lash him with and some other weird at the bachelorette party. I don't know. You just go listen to it.
I'll go listen to it.
And then I don't know, man. He's lived an interesting life. So, and our final sponsor is Green Camel Press. I sell greeting cards with Green Camel Press and my other partner. We make T-shirts, we make posters, we make labels, we do all kinds of cool stuff. I was out. I sold a bunch of greeting cards the other day. I also got an order in for Christmas cards. I know it's a little bit early to be thinking about Christmas, but if you want a special Christmas card, we have a couple of them that I think would be really great. So greencamelpress.com, greencamelpress.com, greencamelpress.com.
I was thinking if we were a sober Voltron, instead of having a sword, we could have nunchucks, and one nunchuck on one side would say, keep coming back, and the other nunchuck would say, it works.
It works?
Yeah.
It works if you work it. Whoosh. Voltron nunchucks.
You work it because you're worth it.
Oh, and finally, today's episode is brought to you by the letter H.
H. Or as the Australians say, H.
H. Do they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Australians say H.
H. I'm trying to think of, I don't have a lot of Australian context. I mean, except for, was it Claire on Lost or Charlie?
Oh yeah, no, Charlie wasn't Australian. He was Irish.
He was Irish.
Claire was Australian.
Yeah.
No, I just watched a lot of
H.
YouTube videos of people playing video games, and a lot of them are Australian.
Interesting. There's a
Yeah,
big
so
there's a big Twitch community in Australia.
apparently, and I'm watching it all like a grown ass man sitting here.
Hey man, whatever keeps you sober, Jerry, for today.
Yeah, this is me watching this dude play Rust all day. Yeah,
If it's Twitch down under, then that's fine.
yeah.
So H, we wanted to talk to you about hubris and humility. And you know what the word hubris means, right? Did you
Yeah, just looked it up right now.
what does it mean?
Now you gotta open the phone back up.
Oh,
'Cause
no.
I forgot. Yeah.
I think most people, when I think of hubris, I'm often reminded of the story of Icarus, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And Icarus, and I think it's Greek mythology, and it was him and his father Daedalus, and so Icarus, they were making wings to fly, like with wax and bird's wings. And this is obviously is a fable, it's a story, it didn't really happen, but so he thought, oh well, I have these wax wings, and my wings are the best wings in the world, and I can fly higher. And he flew too close to the sun, and then what happened? The wings melted in the sun, and he fell to the ground. So
He fucking died.
He
Straight
died.
died.
I think so. I assume so. I don't remember the whole rest of the myth, but
Our version, he did.
in our version remix. But
Right.
what is the
remix
hubris?
with DJ Khaled remix? He did.
What is the dictionary definition of hubris?
Hubris, excessive pride or self-confidence. Like I knew what the word was through context, so when you asked me, you kind of put me on the spot because I didn't have the phone open. But I just want to let everybody know that I know words. I'm good at words. Yeah.
You are.
I just sometimes I know them through context.
Yes, I agree. I'm the same way. I think hubris, and in alcoholism, in my drinking, in my time at the bar, in my time in my cups, like that idea of arrogance and being prideful, and I think that for me a lot of it came from insecurity. So it's being overconfident for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And so I would always overcompensate by being louder or more boastful or thinking I was funny and, being this like big, huge character, and it was definitely hubristic, my behavior, at least because inside I was sad, I was insecure, I was afraid, but
Right.
in drinking I was able to have this sort of persona. And that was definitely, how many times did I let this pride keep me from whether like even getting up early for something that I wanted to do. It was always thwarted because it was like, well, I can stay up later, I can drink more, I can do this, I can do that, and or a lot of the what we call like barstool dreams, where we just sit on the bar stool and we talk about all the things we're gonna do, man, and how great we are, and if we only had this, if we only had money, if we only had time, if we only had the right tools, man, we could do what they're doing. That's nothing, and so there's all this like boastful, very prideful talk over very little substance for me. That's what I look back on it, is just this history of just being kind of an asshole, and not even knowing it, like thinking that I was a kind person, thinking that I was a sweet guy. And I think, we talked about this earlier, before we hit record, and you said that you were talking with somebody, you were in a group with somebody, and they didn't know Drunk Jerry.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, and you said that Drunk Jerry was kind of an asshole.
Yeah, I said Drunk Jerry sucked.
And the people who did know Drunk Jerry said to you,
Drunk Jerry didn't suck that much. Drunk Jerry only sucked by drink number 9 or 10. And then he went drink number 9 or 10, and I was like, yeah, apparently according to everybody around me, I was cool from drink 1 to 1 to 9, but then drink 9 till I fell asleep, I was an asshole. And he was like, well, when did you fall asleep? I'm like, I don't know, drink 20. I don't know. You lose count at one point when the fifth is gone and everybody's mad at you for breaking shit or crying too much or whatever you were doing.
Stealing their booze or their...
Yeah, so I think the hubris for me, I mean, even I experienced the hubris even in recovery. I mean, I think it's just the fucking part of being a human, you know? It's just what you do with it, you know? Whether or not that, because I feel like everybody does it. They have it, even if it's deep in their own head. There's that inner monologue that tells you you're better, you're terminally unique. That's what I really loved about that in the program. Oh, you think you're terminally unique when you're just like every other motherfucker sitting in here, you know? You may have a different set of circumstances that led you here, but we're all here, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think in my alcoholism, like in my active alcoholism, I don't know if I necessarily intentionally thought, like had intentional hubris where I was like, I'm the most important person. No, I definitely thought I was the most important person in the room. I just never thought like everybody should be looking at me. But I'm also a guy who performed a lot.
I was
and,
going
like,
to say.
Was on stage a lot, so, you know, maybe it was just something I was unaware of in the moment or something I'm intentionally leaving out. I don't know. It's because I'm trying to think of examples of like me and my hubris nature, my arrogant nature, my conceited nature, because I can be very conceited, you know, even now. But back then, I think, I don't know, maybe I felt like when we were all together on our little fucking, you know, our little Captain Jack special island out there in the bar, you know, be 4 of us sitting at a table, and I used to always think, man, we are the most unique fucking people in this room. Like, we're the smartest people in this room. All these people are all just normal drunks. We happen to be like the 4 smartest fucking guys in here, you know.
The smartest, funniest, best, you know, awesomest, coolest dudes.
Yeah. And all the other drunks at their little islands that were thinking the same fucking thing, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you used to get up and do like poetry reads and stuff like that.
All the time, yeah.
I mean, I imagine that there was a certain level of like arrogance that you had to even if you were faking it, you had to put it on to get up there and create this persona, because as much as I knew you, and you would get up there and you would read these things and I was like, yep, that's totally Jerry. Oh yeah, he's talking about fucking Percocets and guns and Lord of the Rings or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, but that wasn't you all the time.
No.
And that was so like you kind of had to put on this persona.
Yeah.
And then people bought into it and people believed it. And I mean, I don't know if that ever fueled the flames of your ego for...
Oh, yeah. It made it much worse. Yeah. Dude, the fucking late 90s, early 2000s were a time where my ass could get up there and read you a 3-minute poem about a fleshlight, you know, and people would be like, whoa, blown away. Like, that's fucking, you're the fucking craziest dude I ever met, you know? But it's not like I'd be sitting with my mom and dad being like, let me tell you about the fleshlight, you know? Like... Or sitting with like your mom, or sitting, you know what I mean? Like I knew when to turn it on and off. But yeah, that was definitely me strutting and my own ego and everything. And I think maybe that's why I'm so reluctant to do it now, because I don't know if that's a persona I can put back on now. I'm like a different person, you know. But I don't know. Who knows, man? But I guess in active alcohol, but I also couldn't get on stage unless I was fucking lit, you know. Like I couldn't do it dry. There's no way I could do that shit dry. Back then, I've done it since dry, and it was fucking terrifying. But
but you haven't done it recently.
No, not since early recovery. I think last time it was like not even a year yet. I was like 9 months sober. I was just trying to find something to do that didn't involve me getting loaded, you know. But I the hubris is a weird one, because it's like, as alcoholics, I think we have that really weird duality to ourselves, right? That hardcore insecurity that causes us to act out, even though even people who aren't alcoholics who are really insecure tend to act out the most, you know. They tend to have a higher sense of self-importance because of their insecurities. They build up those parts of themselves they find the most talented to be bigger than everybody else, because they feel like shit about everything else about themselves. And so then you pour fucking alcohol on that and bam, dude, you know, gas on a bonfire, you know.
Like the self-loathing narcissist.
Yeah, and I think that's... I can't speak for every drunk out there, but I can speak for me and you.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. I think, you know, they say, too, that hubris comes with oftentimes a certain level of success. And what I mean by this is that when you're successful at something, and let's just say that I was successful at drinking, or I thought I was, right? There's this certain blindness that comes with it. When you do something and you do it really well, and it's received really well, and so my ego would get stoked. I would, people would want to like, hey, we're going to go party and I'm going to put together this thing and we're going to go here and then we're going to go there and we're going to do this. And so then it became this thing where I thought that I was really good at it. And maybe there was a moment in time where putting together a good time was something I was good at, but it would very quickly descend into, I don't know, wheeling you around in an office chair that we found in an alley and fucking falling over and
Right.
knocking shit over and taking my shirt off in a karaoke bar and spilling drinks at last call and all kinds of awful, like really just boorish behavior. And then
But you're making it sound like fun though. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it wasn't fun, but also, I don't know how many other people were affected. How many people's nights did I fuck up?
Right.
And
I mean, and once again, that's the hubris part where you're just so self-absorbed into your own thing. And I was along for the ride, so I was so self-absorbed in our thing that I was just like, I'm gonna fucking yell in the middle of this guy singing karaoke and smoke in the bar, even though they told me I couldn't, and
and it's like, how many other people were just trying to have a good night? And say what you will about people hanging out at the Comet Tavern on fucking Tuesday, but like, it's not all about me.
Right.
But
right.
I thought it was. And so there's that blindness that comes with it. And I think that in early recovery as well, I constantly had to remind myself, you don't got this
right
all the time, because it was easy to be like, well, I've quit things before and I can quit this and I got this figured out, and okay, no, I'm fine, man. I don't need to further the introspection. I don't need to figure out, what's wrong with me and what it takes to fix it. I don't need to be open, to be vulnerable, to be I just need to quit drinking, right? As long as I quit drinking, and then everything will be fine.
It'll all work out. Old Gil.
That's it. It'll just
old Gil get a sale.
It all just work out. And lo and behold, very quickly, I come to find out that there's like this mountain to be moved inside of me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just to get where I'm at now. And there's that blind spot again. So it wasn't just about the alcohol. It was all these other things that I had set in motion, put in place, all these other systems of emotional protection and just ways of living that allowed me to be the center of the universe, and therefore everything and everyone else was here to serve me. So it was still that way in early recovery. I still felt like, and my social circle had gotten very small in early recovery, so there weren't too many people to manipulate, but I could certainly like manipulate how people perceived me at a meeting, or you know what I mean, or how people perceived me at work, or I could talk a really good game about how my recovery's going. It's going really well. Now I'm great, man. I'm great. I got it. Yeah, it's great. And then inside, I'm like fucking dying.
Right.
Because all I want to do is drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that overcoming that, and also reminding myself that what else am I blind to? So if I was blind to that, like what are the other things currently, as good as I feel, as successful as I feel as a person, what else am I blind to that needs looking at, that needs repair, that needs maintenance, that needs to be open to that idea? I was never open to that idea when I was drinking, and I certainly wasn't open to it when I first got sober. I think I told you this, when I first got into the program, it was like, I'm going to see if this is good for me. I'm going to see if this is going to work for me. It was like this investigation. Like, I don't trust any of this shit. So I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it like like I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with it.
Right. Right. You're like a Geraldo Rivera on that motherfucker, trying to figure out, how the program's gonna do you wrong.
Exactly. And so instead of looking for how it was gonna do me right, I was looking for how it was gonna do me wrong.
Yeah.
And so
That's hubris. That's absolutely
totally
hubris. Yeah.
So it didn't matter that I had removed the alcohol from my system. It was still these, and I don't want to quote the program too much, but they talk about these, we'll just say, character defects or these personality traits that were no longer serving me, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the whole process of introspection, I think, was, to me, most important in combating that hubris that I lived with and curated for so long.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you feel? You talk about feeling pretty broken when you first quit drinking and you first got into the program and stuff like that. Was there a pink cloud period or a period where you were like, yeah, man, I fucking finally got this?
No. It's funny. I've been thinking about this, like the idea of arrogance or conceitedness or hubris, or the opposite being humility. But, it was that my whole thinking with alcohol had changed from, I deserve this, I'm having a good time. That ego and that sense of arrogance that I have worked hard enough to earn these drinks or to get drunk tonight. I earned it. And then that over time, that switch was like totally slowly turning like a volume knob, where it turned into, I can't stop because I'm scared of what'll happen when I stop. So it turned into, I deserve this, turned into, I need this to continue functioning, or it's going to get really fucking bad. And the internet didn't help, because then I looked up all the withdrawal symptoms on the internet, and it stirred up as like, you're going to have a seizure and fucking die. And I'm like, great. I don't want to have a seizure and fucking die. Like, I finally want to get sober. I want to live. Do you know what I'm saying? So now me quitting alcohol is going to kill my ass, like, for fucking real, So that hubris turned into humiliation pretty quickly. It turned into desperation. But when I first went in those rooms, I don't remember having a pink cloud. I think I finally felt better at one point, where I felt physically better. Like, I wasn't sick all the time. I wasn't hungover all the time. I didn't have a headache all the time. I didn't have fucking, the runs all the time. I didn't feel like I was crawling out of my own skin. I didn't feel like crying every 20 minutes, and when I hit that plateau, that first plateau of like my body finally flushing out all those toxins, and now it's time to get to work on the actual psychological aspect of what drew me into that, I don't know if there might have been a tiny pink cloud in there, but all I remember in early recovery is just a lot of fear and a lot of desperation and a lot of like, don't fuck this up. You can't fuck this up. This is like your last chance, I'm really big. When I was drinking, I was really big on ultimatums to myself. I would tell myself, well, if I go to the hospital again hurt, then I got to go to AA. I've probably told that story before about how I busted my head open plugging in a laptop in front of Megan. I split my forehead open on a dresser. And I come around the corner and I'm bleeding everywhere. I'm like holding this flap of skin back. It was this tiny little flap, but I'm holding it back, and I pull my hand away and I'm like, is it bad? And blood just poured all down the side of my face. And Megan's like, we got to go to the hospital. And I was like, nope, because if I go to the hospital, it's going to be the third time I've injured myself really badly drunk. And that means I got to go to AA. Right, so I had all these rules for myself constantly. That was a lot of my alcoholism was rules. Like,
was the rule drinking 3 times, or was
three times?
Okay,
3 times. If I had to go to the hospital 3 times, so this would have been my third visit to the hospital. The first 2, I broke my hand in a bar one night, really drunk. I like pretty much trashed a bar, and I'm surprised they didn't kill my ass. And the second time, I broke the shit out of my leg, really drunk. Right, So I was like, this is number 3, man. I'm gonna have to go to AA, And I don't know where I was going with that, but I did have a lot of ultimatums, I think. And even in recovery, I gave myself a lot of ultimatums at first. Like, this is it. Like, this is your last chance. That's the point I was trying to make. Is in early recovery, I kept telling myself if I went back out, I wasn't coming back. That was it. Like, bye Megan, bye Olive, bye everybody, I'm done. This is it. I'm just gonna fucking see what happens. And hopefully it's not too painful when it's done. Like, literally, that was literally what I was thinking. If I go back out, I'm back out. Like, I'm not coming back,
You just
I don't feel that way now. I don't
No.
feel that way now, but I don't have any plans to go back out. I don't even think I mean, it sits in your head, man. We're alcoholics. Like it never, like I say it all the time. And I feel like for me personally, it didn't go away entirely. It still sits in my head. The other day I walked by that stupid fucking bar again, and this drunk lady was out smoking. I might have talked about this in the last podcast, and she looked over me and went, "Whoa, nice hair." Did I tell this story already?
No,
This lady's
no.
like, "Whoa, nice hair." She's sitting out there smoking. She, sees my hair, and I'm like, I'm walking to go get like rice. And I'm like, "Thank you." I look her in the eyes and say, "Thank you," because it's a nice compliment. Thanks. So, cool. And she's like, "You got a good vibe, buddy." She's like, "You got a good vibe," and then like got up to go to the bar and like held the door open like I was gonna follow her into the bar, and I just kept walking past her. I didn't say a word. I just kept walking past her, and she shut the door. And I remember thinking like that alcoholic part of my brain was like, what if you followed her in there and had a drink? I was like, you got $40 in your pocket. You could get fucking loaded on $40 right now because you haven't had a drink in 5 years.
I was gonna say, especially now.
And I'm not gonna lie, that part of my brain, did it scream it? No. Did it whisper it in the back of the room? Yeah. Did I want to do it? No. But it's still there. I can't deny that. I can never deny that it will. I don't know if it'll always be there. If it goes away, good for me. If it doesn't, good for me, because I get to learn how to live with it, and be strong and persevere over that shit, So
Yeah.
part of me hopes it doesn't go away. I need to remember, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tattoo
Yeah.
it, right?
Tattoo it on your brain. That's what Jerry told me in the first week or two that I was getting sober, that I got sober.
I said, "Bitch, tattoo it on your brain,
Bitch.
bitch. Yeah, bitch."
But like the no, like you were saying, the little voice that's there, and the little voice that's there, and I think about relapsing. I don't think about doing it. I think about it as a concept, right?
Yes,
and
as a
I've
concept,
mentioned it a couple times. Like I would love to talk about it, but I don't feel on the podcast as like an episode. But I don't feel I have too much. Neither of us have any experience with relapse, and
Not with relapse.
knock on wood.
We have tons of experience with drinking, but not with relapse. Yeah.
So like I think that voice is important still. If it's there, then there's a reason it's there, and there's a reason why at least once a week I like to go to a room with a bunch of people who are alcoholics and talk about alcohol or the effects of it.
Right.
I'm oversimplifying. I'm being reductive, but it's what I do. It's what we do, right? And so
Right.
But that little voice that makes me think, like when I'm in the grocery store and all the shiny bottles, and mostly I just kind of laugh and I go, "Oh boy, I remember
Yeah, so
I
do
used
I.
to do,
Yeah.
oh man, Grand Marnier, like ugh," or yeah, well, that's just funny that the whatever it is, I don't know. I don't have any good
Grand
examples.
Marnier. Oof.
I don't know. There was a
Yeah,
bottle
that
of
is
Grand
a
Marnier,
wolf.
and it was
Yeah,
like,
Grand
just
Marnier
like
is
syrupy
gross.
and sweet, but I am finally to the point where I've gotten like the shivers from thinking about drinking, and so it's like, okay, things must be going in the right direction. So in another,
if the idea of it kind of grosses you out a little
just
bit.
like yeah, a little bit. Like there was something somebody was saying, or something about a drink or something like that. I don't know if they were talking about.
It wasn't like a good shiver.
No, it wasn't
like
a good
"Ooh,
shiver. It
it's
was
fucking
like
Christmas in July. Yeah.
Jaeger milkshakes or something. I was like,
Oh my God.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I think that is where using not humiliation, because humiliation and that gift of desperation that you talk about was another
Right.
thing that was so important for me to just finally feel out of fucking luck. That it was, what did you say? The nuclear option? That's like,
Right.
there's no, this is not like, oh, I'm just going to try and test it out. And even my little, Geraldo Rivera bit about trying to like, I'm just going to do my little Woodward and Bernstein on this and figure out what's really going on with AA, But
Right.
it was this like, I'm finally crushed. I'm finally done. I'm finally
Right.
over. I can't do it anymore. I mean, I could do it for one more day, but I know exactly what the hell feels like, and I don't want to feel like hell anymore.
Right.
I don't think that I can take one more night, and that's
Right.
why I quit. So that humiliation, whether it was from, well, there was a lot of things, whether it was, past relationships, work relationships, family, even just in myself and the things that I had done, like looking at your bank account and knowing that you had done that shame, you know,
Yeah.
of going back to a bar for my credit card and knowing that like I had,
Shit, yeah, dude.
you know, like,
Oh, dude, leaving the credit card at the bar. That's when I
mm-hmm,
was like, wow, I am fucking up. Like,
mm-hmm,
I should know
because
this. I'm an insider, John. I'm not one of these fucking plebes walking around in the street.
exactly.
I know bartenders. I'm best friends with bartenders. I'm one of the after hours dudes. I don't do
Mm-hmm.
that shit, you know, like
And then you do anyway, and you're
right.
just like,
There's my fucking hubris, right? Like I am bar royalty. Do you know who I am?
right. That's another one that I didn't think about. But yes, you used to joke, and Jerry had this nickname for me because in the neighborhood in Seattle where I lived and worked, I knew all the bartenders and all the wait staff, and we would go drinking. And Jerry lived a little bit north of there, right? So he would like
Yeah.
catch a cab down, and we would just be like, "Yeah, we're gonna go out drinking." And so he'd be like, "John, you're the fucking smoking pope of Ballard." And so
Yeah.
we would just
walk
walk
around
up
shaking hands all night, you know, like
and it would get annoying. It's like, Jesus, can't we just go get drunk somewhere, John? And I was like,
right.
look, man, did you get a fucking free round? So just shut your mouth, you know? And
Right,
so
you're like, yo, we gotta go to fucking Himalaya to go get, you know, like some fucking bar with some stupid Seattle name. Like, we gotta go to a Himalaya fucking flip flops and talk to. We gotta go talk to Gvon because Gvon's gonna hook us up with some fucking old chamucos. And I'm like, I just want a shot at Evan Williams and not to feel like me anymore. Like, I don't need to shake this motherfucker's hand. And
right. So that was the
you're
thing.
like, look, the toothpicks are bamboo, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
Right. So
but yes,
that
yeah.
was a huge part of my hubris when I was drinking, was feeling
Right.
important, and feeling and knowing people was really important to me. And one of the things that was scary when I moved away was knowing that I left this entire, what I thought was this network of friends and colleagues and connections, and coming to realize that the friends, the colleagues, and the connections, and I won't say all of them because I still have some people who I've met there who are truly great friends and truly great
Yes.
people, and who
Uh-huh.
I still, I still connect with and talk to, and am eternally grateful to know them. But 99% of those connections were just people who were excited to see me spend some money, and
Yes.
maybe like make their night not so boring, right?
Right.
Because
You're gonna do the John show, yeah.
hey, yeah, and so that level of hubris, like I fed off of that. That was almost more. Well, it wasn't more exciting than getting drunk,
Right.
but it was definitely a huge part of this, like going out and knowing
Why?
people.
Why did you leave Seattle for Napa? Like for real though. Like I know you're like, oh, I got offered this good job, but then you left.
I
Like you weren't doing too bad in Seattle either, though.
I was doing well, and that's the thing, is I was really unhappy with my job, and I
Right.
had it was the cycle of go to work really hard, drink all week while I was working, and then drink all weekend and be broke and have to go and make all that money back,
Right.
So
yeah. Oh yeah, I know.
and I hated the job, and I got offered this job, and so it wasn't just that, but there was a part of me that was like, it just felt like this is an opportunity and I need to leave. And I think I don't know that it's like explicitly was a geographical move to get away
That's
from
my next question.
alcoholism.
Was it a geographical? Yeah.
I don't think explicitly. I think maybe subconsciously there was like, if I leave, things will get better. If I go somewhere, things will get better. And ultimately, they did not. At least not in the first, 5 years. But they just got worse.
Yeah.
But all that like excitement was really hollow. And these people, I don't want to say they weren't kind people or they didn't care about me, but I knew that on the other side of the bar, being behind the bar, when I would see certain people, I was like, oh, here comes that fucking joker. He's good for $20-$40 tonight. I'll slip him a
Right.
few free drinks. He'll fucking, be an asshole for a little while,
Right.
and then he'll
might
leave me
get
some
some
money.
free Coke or something. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's definitely something that was really big, and I imagine that a lot of people felt that. I mean, you had your crowd in Eugene of people you knew, and you could go and like, what was it? They would it was you did you tell me you used to drink for free? You would like draw, and they would just give you
Yeah,
drinks if you would
yeah.
draw.
Yeah, I got a job at this bar that's closed now in Eugene, Oregon, called John Henry's, and they needed the OLCC, the Oregon Liquor Control Commission, came in and said, you need a restaurant, you need a cook, or we're gonna fucking pull your license. And so they didn't have a kitchen, so technically they're allowed to have a microwave, and as long as they had someone who wasn't the bartender who was working the microwave would be their cook, right? So they would like sell like fucking pot pies and shit, and then give them like fancy names and really talk them up, and then just sell them like for $1 a piece or something. And so they told me, you don't have to even microwave shit, but we're gonna pay you to come in and draw flyers for us for 3 hours. You can draw for 3 hours, and we'll just pay you under the table like $40 or something. And you don't even have to touch a microwave. John Henry, the bartender, he'll microwave everything. We'll just, if OLCC comes in, you're our cook. But literally, you're just sitting here drawing. And so I was like, rad. And then I thought I was gonna fucking Donald Trump art of the deal this motherfucker and be like, tell you what, instead of giving me $40, just let me drink for free for 3 hours. Like, I can get way more than $40 worth of booze out of you guys, you know? And the guy realized that like his overhead was so fucking crazy that he's like, yeah, okay, because there's no way I could have sat and drank $40. Like, you know what I mean? Like the literal what they paid $40 for. Because a fifth is like, there's no way I was going to drink 2/5 in 3 hours. I
and
could
even
try,
that, a fifth of Evan
fucking
Williams
try.
is like $8 or something back then.
And then they didn't have good bourbon. It's not like I was like, yeah, give me that Blanton's up there, you know, or the Woodford Reserve. They didn't have no Woodford Reserve. Their good bourbon was like Jim Beam, you know. And even that shit was, you know, we know the price on that, but yeah. So even I was like a bar insider. I was like, well, I work at John Henry's. I don't know if you know. But I'd be totally fucking blacked out by 8 o'clock at night because my shift started at 5, you know, and I
My shift, yes.
my shift, right? I'd sit there with a sketchbook and draw like pictures of my roommate and then write the names of the bands on it. You know, it was like Coda drawn as a mime, and then it would have like all the names of the bands, or it was just like they were like the worst. They were like the worst fucking flyers. I have some of them still, but
Nice work.
man,
if you
that
can
shit.
get it.
Right, and then I'd call my ex at 8 and be like, "Where the fuck are you at? Let's fucking get wild," you know, and like, yeah, couldn't find my fucking hands by 9 o'clock, you know.
Speaking of Coda, real quick, and our friend, I don't know if he listens or not, but sometimes he does.
I miss him. Hope he does.
You should reach out to him. He just quit smoking
do.
cigarettes.
Oh God, poor guy.
He's on
is
the
he
vape
vaping?
train. Yeah, he's on the
Yeah.
vape
Oh,
train.
now I gotta text him and be like, "What's up, Vape Nation? Knew you're gonna be here eventually, dude. 420, bro."
So he was really proud. He was really stoked because he's like, I just finally got to do it, and I did it, and it's done. So, and anybody listening who smokes or is thinking about quitting, and trust me, I know how hard it is, and Jerry does too. And I won't get into the whole, you know, there's history of vaping and why it was born, and you know what the health department. I could talk about it, but we don't need to.
Yeah, it's not really. It's off topic, right?
But yeah. So you should reach out to him. This is just an aside, because it's a bitch. I think it's probably harder than quitting drinking. Because I quit drinking and I was still smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
For like 4 or 5 months.
Well, I smoked cigarettes for like the first 18 months sober, yeah. And then I started vaping. But I was vaping before I quit drinking too, though. But I was
vaping and smoking?
I would vape and then lose the vape because I was fucked up, so I'd start smoking again, then save up money and buy a new one, and then lose it again, or jump in a fucking pool with it in my pocket, and then go buy cigarettes. But
they're not waterproof?
Nah, man.
Oh.
Not the new ones. I mean, why are you going to vape underwater? That's like physically impossible.
I don't know. It sounds like there's probably a YouTube channel on it. I don't know.
I'll look it up. They're probably all Australian, dude.
But I love the idea. So the other half of this, and I think when we talk about humility and getting to the gift of desperation and the humiliation that comes with all of the things that we have done in our drinking careers, was huge. I mean, when my sponsor was a very mild-mannered older guy who was a father. He was a priest, and he did a couple. I don't know what exactly his church was. I know that he was an ordained Catholic priest, but at the time, like, he was doing some other work with mentally ill people. And anyhow, it was really humbling to sit with him in his house, you know, and just sit with him and read, and we would talk, and like there was this thing that I would do every week, and I would and I don't know if I'm breaking any things, but like it was really an awesome thing. And so there was a lot of humility that came with that, because I basically had to go and say, I'm broken, I need help. I can't fix myself, and I don't know what to do, and I didn't know what to do. And I think of the level of like ignorance that I had, and the level of fear that I had, you know, and like to finally get to the point, because it was still another 4 months before I asked for help. I thought, oh well, I'll just go to a meeting once a week and everything's fine, and that was not the case. And so the humility was really important, and I think that that's something that I keep coming back to whenever I feel like I'm not when I feel like I'm feeling too good. Like, I think it's great. I love to feel good, and I love to do things that make me feel good. But whenever I feel like I got this, can't get me, I always want to check myself. Now, do I really have it today? Have I done all the things? Not like I can't be overtaken by alcohol, but like, have I done all of the things that make me the strongest version of myself, the highest version of myself, you know, that bring me as close to my higher power as I can be today. And so when I've done all those things, and then I can feel good, and I don't have to walk around with any sort of like, I don't know, sobriety swagger, if that sounds ridiculous.
Sobriety swag? I don't know. Let me introduce you to a couple of meme pages on Instagram. They'll show you all about yours.
Ones you had to unfollow?
Yeah, dude. No modesty there, you know?
Exactly. So I think it's been a huge and awesome tool to be humble and to be, says the guy with the microphone in front of his face. But, you know, I mean, the irony is not lost on me here. But I just, it's really helpful, and it's just to have that patience and acceptance and humility, and to know that in those moments of stress, when I'm out in the world and dealing with other people, that like, this ain't all about me, man. And then it's easier to let it go. You know?
Yeah, like, absolutely. Yeah. When that modesty is super important, dude. You know, because I think of humility, I think of like modesty, right? Like, yeah, and I think that's super important, because it's the antithesis of it's the opposite of fucking hubris. It really is, you know. It's like you have a lowered sense of self, and not in a negative way, just in a realistic way, you know. You stop becoming the center of the universe and realize that you are just a fucking extra in somebody else's story, you know. You're an extra. You're not even an extra in the world, the universe's story, you know. I mean, then I start getting hella deep on that shit.
I'm set dressing.
Woo! Not even set dressing, man. You're like the little tape they have. You're not even that, but you know, the tape on the ground to show you your mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
But modesty is important, because I feel like active alcoholism is the opposite of modesty. I feel like it is all hubris. It is all self-centered and ego, self-will run riot. You know, this is where your best thinking got you. So now it's time to kind of try to drop that best thinking. You know? Yeah, because it's not working. So, and I don't know, though, because people do talk about humility. I hear it in meetings sometimes, and I think they do confuse it with like being humiliated, which that is part of it. That's the root of it, you know. But it's also like not just being embarrassed. It's just having this. To me, it's having this version of yourself that you know realistically what you are. You know, like, dude, I'm not better than any of the drunks out there. Especially active alcoholics. People still drinking. I'm not better than that guy. I just figured I didn't even just figure my shit out. That's not even the right way to put it. The only difference between me and that guy is that I don't drink, and I'm trying to help myself. Do you know what I'm saying? In a different way. Yeah.
And ultimately help somebody else, you know?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
So, and it doesn't, I guess it doesn't matter if you drink or not, or have a problem or not. I mean, I feel like these things, these ideas, these concepts, to use them as tools in your life is not, it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's a pretty good thing.
It's a good thing. You know what? Now I think about it, the difference between me and that guy who's same night that lady yelled at me nice hair. I walked back out and there's a guy in basketball shorts on his phone, fucking drunk, yelling at his girlfriend, just yelling at her in the alley behind the bar, just having this knockdown drag out fight. It wasn't even dark yet. It was like 8:30. Right? And I was like, damn, dude, I've fucking been there. Like, good luck on that, you know? But I realized the only difference between me and that guy is that I'm in remission right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I'm in remission. He's still sick. I'm sick too. I just happen to not be as sick right now. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, I have to, all I can do is be super grateful and be like, yeah, right now my fucking alcoholism is in remission. And, you know, if anybody asks me, how'd you get it? How'd you manage it? I'm like, well, this is what I did. And it wasn't me who really managed it. I mean, I managed some of it. I made those opening steps, but the rest I left it all up to whatever's out there, you know, and the people around me. I stole their ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many things I wish I should consolidate them, but I'll constantly, I'll hear something and I'll pull my phone out and like type it in my notes.
Yeah.
And,
Are you doing, you're not doing that in meetings, are you?
Yeah.
Are you? Oh, shit. You just all tick, 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 tick.
Well, I have it's off. I have the sound off. But like, I mean, people are always busting their phones out. Not that
they are. Yeah.
Not that I want to be one of those people who's fucking
playing
Words with
Angry
Friends.
Birds through the whole fucking preamble. Yeah.
But when something strikes me, I'm like, and maybe I should just get a fucking notebook, right?
Right.
And a pen.
No, the phone's fine too. I just pictured you in the back making ticking noises.
Tick.
Yeah, and it cracked me up.
But you know, so I'll hear something and I'm like, that's really good. I need to keep that. I need to think about that. I need to find a way to use that and find a way to remember that. And so
we need to share those things with each other. That's why I think it's important we go sit in those church basements. So we can share those fucking things with each other. Mm-hmm. Right? And all the other stuff is, for me, is like not in the front seat right now.
You know, I think that's something too that humility in sharing with other alcoholics, whether it be in a meeting or otherwise, part of what keeps me from sharing is that, I mean, I don't know if it's hubris or feeling like, a lot of it is insecurity, but it's also, the insecurity comes from being self-centered. Because like, oh, I gotta protect myself, and I can't put something out there because what if I'm too special and I'm too precious to put myself out there, because if I get destroyed, everything will be awful. And then when I realize I need to share this because it's more important than I am, because sharing this to a group of people who I may never see again or see once a week or don't know how they're going to take it or who may need it desperately right now, it's bigger than me, so I better fucking share it because it's not about me. And so I think that that's kind of how I feel about it now when I get it in my head that I want to say something. And sometimes I don't. I'm just like sitting there and I'm like, oh, I'm waiting for my turn. And then, oh, I don't want to follow the guy who got a lot of laughs because, you know, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like those stupid thoughts.
Right.
It's like, stop those stupid thoughts, John, because it's bigger than you. It's more important than your feeling at that moment. Yeah, that's all it is, right? It's just my one feeling at that one moment. It's fucking set dressing.
Set dressing, dude.
So
ranch dressing.
Ranch dressing, Thousand Island dressing.
This is not gluten. Is not your problem,
man. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so it's. I think that's a huge thing to realize, and it's something that's really helped me stay sober. And just live better.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Dude, I'm like the worst sharer, dude. I like rarely share. I've been sharing a little bit more at this one group I've been going to, but like my voice shakes. Everybody, I even have like a little setup. I'm going to say something humorous just so everybody doesn't think I'm a fucking asshole. My voice is shivering the whole time. I do the little... I don't know why I'm doing the setup. Just say what you're feeling, Jerry. I'm like, yeah, but what I'm feeling right now is I'm freaking the fuck out. That's what I'm feeling. You know, like for some reason, like even when I open up my mouth and start saying my name, like my brain's like, what are you doing, dude? You could have just played it cool and sat back here, and now you got to fucking make everybody look at you like, fuck. Yeah, I'm the worst at it. And it's funny because I get on this podcast with you and we're just friends, so I can talk to you for a fucking hour and and tell you exactly how I'm feeling about shit, because this is how all of our conversations, even when we were drinking, we'd have conversations like this, but like, you get me in that room, dude, and it's like 8 fucking 60-year-old women and a bunch of 70-year-old dudes, like one fucking 25-year-old dude over there, and I'm just like, ugh, my name is Jerry and I'm a fucking train wreck, like, yeah. But
they
I don't know,
might
man.
need to hear that fresh whatever you got to say, because they've been
Absolutely,
listening to
right?
each other
Right.
talk for the last fucking 40 years, and
Saying
they're like,
this, and how many times am I going to hear someone say that same
Yeah.
fucking thing they always say? But they have to say it because the new person may not know that that's what we do, or that's what you need to do, or that's what may help. Not what we do, but what may help. But yeah, and you're right. It is a lot of hubris too, and it is a lot of ego involved in it. And I think you and I both, I don't know, maybe you and I both being like some minor performers, it like, you know what I mean? Like not wanting to follow the guy who gets the laughs and being like,
wanting
man,
to perform well rather than just sharing my feelings,
sharing your
instead of-
feelings. Yeah.
which is that's a whole nother level, and it's just a whole nother stress that I put on myself, because wanting to perform, wanting to be perceived as put together and all that kind
Right.
of stuff, and
Right.
it's like that scene in Pulp Fiction where Marcellus Wallace is talking to Butch, talking to Bruce Willis, and he's like,
Yeah.
you're gonna feel that sting in the back of your head. That's pride.
Pride,
fucking with
yeah.
you.
It's
Fuck
pride.
pride.
Fuck pride, dude. That's pride fucking with you.
And I don't know, because that might be a messy analogy, because I don't know where exactly that fits in with sobriety, but and you shouldn't take the fall at the fight. I don't know, for money. It doesn't really work, but
It doesn't work, but that's all right. We're cool. We're Gen X. We remember Pulp Fiction.
speaking of which, I just saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and
Was it good?
it was long.
Oh, really? Hard sigh? I like long movies, though.
Well, you might like it. I thought
don't
the
know.
payoff was really awesome. Like,
I think I
liked-
already know the payoff, but we'll discuss that in our movie
I don't.
podcast.
Yeah, I'm not trying to ruin it for anybody. I just felt like sometimes I feel, speaking of hubris, and I don't know the man, and I can't say, but I feel like sometimes people get to a certain level in their career, and nobody will say no to them, and nobody can
Right.
say no to them, and so they're allowed to just do whatever they want. And I feel like sometimes the art suffers because of the hubris.
Man, that is a scathing review. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood here. Hot takes on the A is for Alcoholic podcast. I'll have to watch it. I haven't seen it yet.
I thought it was well acted. Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh man. So there's a scene, and speaking of alcoholics and alcoholism, there's this scene of him on the set of the Western movie in the trailer that was fucking heart-wrenching and was so true, and I felt so much. And that was, in my mind, the best scene, the best acting and the best scene in the entire movie. And I was just like, I was kind of like a little choked up, because I was like, I've been there, and he's like,
Yeah.
he'd fucked up his lines. I'm not ruining anything in the movie, but this is a great part of the movie. And he's like, he fucked up his lines, and he goes back. He's like, you fucking piece of shit. You need to fucking know you go out there and you look like an idiot, and you knew these lines. And he's like,
Yeah.
and you need to quit drinking. And like 2 seconds later, he pulls out the flask, and he's like drinking from the flask, like right after he's
Yeah.
saying he needs to quit drinking. And then he throws it out the trailer and smashes the window. And I think he runs back out to get the flask again. And it's this whole thing, and he's fucking yelling at himself in the mirror. And like, his performance through the whole thing, and with the alcoholism and the insecurity, and being this super like movie star in the movie, in the universe of the movie, and like being
Right.
this failing movie star, was awesome. So that part I loved. I loved his storyline. I loved his character. I really felt for him. So I don't want it to just be that my critique was a big sigh and it was too long.
Right. There are good parts to this long ass awful movie.
But getting back to the point at hand, hubris bad and humility good.
Right. Treat yourself good, man.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get your head too big. Find your right size.
And
That's
a
what I
relief.
tell myself. That's my motto to me.
Yeah.
Listener, you do what you got to do. Just don't
what do
feel
you
like
say?
shit about it. What, my motto?
Yeah, what's your motto again?
What I just said. It just sounded like a call to action, where I was just like, treat yourself good and make sure you're your right size. And
Yeah.
Let's not all start sucking each other's dicks yet, you know?
Wait, that's from Pulp Fiction too?
That is from Pulp Fiction,
Yeah.
yeah. The first thing I said was just some Jerry thing I said out loud into a microphone.
But it's a relief to not have that hubris. It's a relief.
Yeah, I think so. I would hope I don't have it the way I used to. I mean,
No,
I don't feel like I do, you know? I have to ask my wife to check me a lot. Like, I sit with her and I'm like, you check me. Like, and I might get mad. Like, if you check me and I get embarrassed, like, I'll tell you, wow, I'm embarrassed. I feel like I look like an asshole just to me and you here in this room, you know? Like, she checked me on something the other day and it, like, pissed me off. And so I had to, like, talk to her about it. And then while I'm talking to her, you know what, man? I was like, I'm just going to be fucking honest with you. Like, you came out and acted a certain way, and it really made me feel very embarrassed about the way I was acting, because the way I was acting was I was being a fucking asshole. Yeah. And you called me on it, and it was embarrassing, so I immediately got mad at you, you know, like, and so now I realize that that was, like, fucking super inappropriate, like, me being that upset about whatever I was upset about, you know? Yeah. Nowadays when we argue, I'm just flat out honest. I'm just like, this hurts my feelings because I'm not getting my way. Like, what else am I gonna do? Like,
it's a better way. It's a better way to do it. You know, it's a better way to do it. You just give into that, and you're like, it hurts my feelings because I don't get my way, and then
right. And so my feelings aren't even hurt. I'm just inconvenienced. Yeah. So now I need to contend with that. So, whoops, my bad, dog.
Well, I will humbly ask to end this podcast.
Yeah.
Say thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, thanks, John.
And we'll do this again next week. Thanks again for listening. Our music, as always, is by Neglect. You can find more of his stuff at neglect.bandcamp.com.
And you can find us on all social media platforms that matter: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can reach us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.